So for all of you mayors and city officials here, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is we're in the midst of a massive global disruption. We're seeing 4 disruptive forces that each one individually would be larger than anything we've already seen, and we're getting all 4 of them happening at the same time. The good news for mayors and city officials is this is going to make your role even more important. There is, though, some bad news. The bad news is all of the experience that we've built up to date is not going to be particularly helpful when it comes to addressing those. Now, maybe that's good news for CityLab because we are going to need to invent the next wave of urban government 2.0, and we need to make sure that we're learning from each other in terms of how we do this. So let's just start with the context where we are in terms of the important role of cities. Already cities represent half of the world's population, and more importantly, 70% of global GDP already lies in cities, and that number's going to go up. Put that in context. Let's think about the greater Los Angeles area, not just the Los Angeles city, but the other cities as well. That currently represents, we think, about $750 billion of GDP. $750 billion. That makes it about the same size as the Netherlands. So this city we're in now is roughly the same size economically as the Netherlands. Now, the disruptions we're facing can be put in context if we think back to the Industrial Revolution. Think about the Industrial Revolution, how that changed the world, starting with Britain, rolling on to the US. You can see the pace it took to double GDP. As you can tell, I'm from Britain. We are quite slow. It took us 150 years. You guys in the US took 50 years to do it. We're seeing the Industrial Revolution driven by technology and driven by urbanization in countries like China and India happening at about 10, 15 years. So the British Industrial Revolution, but 10 times as fast and 300 times the scale. So this is the economic force, combination of urbanization and technology. Urbanization, we are moving 65 million additional people into cities every year. That's equivalent to about 5 LAs every year we're doing. And you can see the consequence of this. So this compares the GDP of Shanghai with LA today. Shanghai is about a third of Los Angeles. If we look at how that will compare going forward, by 2025, Shanghai will have matched LA. So that city complex will have matched that. And that's driven by this growth, this urbanization, this industrial revolution that happened in the US now happening at other cities. No other cities have ever had to do that at the speed that they're doing. We're also seeing technologies coming in. Yesterday we heard about Airbnb. Radio, one of the first technologies, consumer technologies, took 38 years to reach 50 million people. You can see here, Twitter took 9 months. The pace at which some of these technologies are coming in and changing things are now shorter than your career. Used to be I had to recover, retrain. Now it's happening at a pace that's shorter than career. People have to do the mid-year correction. We're also seeing aging. Here's an example again. Los Angeles today, relatively young city, 11% of the population over 65. If we play that going forward, we think Los Angeles, again, will remain quite young. The old will generally move out of the big metropolitan cities, according to our forecasts. But if you compare that to a city like Tokyo, Tokyo is going to have almost 30% of its population over 65. We have to work out about what's it going to take to operate a city with that number of old people. We can learn from Tokyo. We can learn from Seoul. There are other types of problems that we're going to get in cities. The huge success of the global economy is going to result in different problems. And apologies to David and the team from The Atlantic. This was The Economist's articulation of it. We've sized some of these global problems. And as you can see, this is our list of what we call the evils. This is the global cost. Smoking cost $2 trillion. You can see obesity down there, another almost $2 trillion global problem. And when you go down the list of all of these problems, it's you guys here as mayors and city people who are actually in the position to deal with it. It's a lot less central government. The dark blue are ones that you own, the very light blue are central government, and the middle blue are the ones that are half and half. Look at your role in terms of addressing some of these global problems. You've also got a role in playing in substandard housing. Some of you have seen that we have a report coming out where we're looking at what it's going to take to address this. We think that currently 330 million people live in substandard housing or can't afford their housing. So how mayors deliver affordable housing is an important area. And the risk of disasters is going up too. As we've moved people to cities, we've built on land that traditionally we wouldn't have built on. We're going to be in a position where we're going to have to deal with disasters much better. And finally, there's not going to be any more central government money for all of you. Any of you are expecting central government money to come and bail out what you need to do? Not going to be that. In this new world, you're going to have to find other ways of being able to capture the value, to look at the way Hong Kong has built their rail system, capturing the value from the appreciation of land. So when we put this all together, the role of mayors, the roles of city governments are going to be a much, much more important part of the way we run our government. It's going to be a much more important driver, but it's going to require innovation. The models that existed before are not going to work. We have to be creative, and we have to use events like this to learn from each other. Thank you.